Seeing none, all in favor of the accepting the personnel report and the addendum to the personnel report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Oh, sorry, one no?
One no.
One no. All right, and then our first new business item, this would be something that came forward from the Personnel Committee about requesting for additional Assistant Secretary to the Director of People Services. This was brought forward from the committee unanimously, so no motion is required. Is there any discussion about the new position? And Joanne is here as well to answer any questions about that position.
Oh,
And she's on vacation, so we thank her for jumping on today. Okay, well, if there's no discussion, and we already have a motion and a second, all in favor of the new position, signify by aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, and another item that was brought forward from Finance and Budget Committee was the CEP food service application. Again, this was an item that was brought forward from committee, so it does not need a motion in a second. Or is there any discussion about that application? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, and then we have the item that was brought forward from curriculum. We'll start with the out-of-state travel, the kids at Hope Masters in Phoenix, Arizona, which will be September 22nd through the 28th of this year. And are there any, we do need a motion in a second to approve that because it's an out-of-state travel item. Oh, I'm sorry, we do not need a motion in a second. Is there any discussion on the out-of-state travel for the kids at Hope? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, and then we have down to the policies that came from the personnel committee, the curriculum committee. And if you remember, there was a diagram that came and it talked about the new changes, the new ones that were listed there. And Kathy, if you want to just discuss a little bit about that diagram and what your committee did there. Sure. And then we'll go from there.
What we did was actually we took a number of behavior and health policies to the ad hoc committee, and they helped us decide which ones we should tackle first, which ones were the most time sensitive. So the four that we are addressing first, which are tonight, are the cell phone policies and other electronic devices, bullying, disorderly conduct, and the student parent rights. The cell phone policy, which has existed in our system before, was policy 5518. That is now a discontinued policy. And so Neola has a new policy, which is number 5136. So as a committee, we addressed that had the most options. But we got through that. And we had the other three. There were just a few. They're the same policies you've always had, but there were just sort of additional options on it or some changes to it, maybe just a sentence or two here or there. And so we worked through all that. All four policies and every change that we made was in agreement unanimously by each of the curriculum committee members. And so we brought it forward to approve. The reason I think the 5518 is still continued though is because that hasn't been dealt with since 2009. And as you can see, the title name is cell phone, electronic communication devices, and portable media players. Electronics is very different from 13 years ago. So that's, I think, why they discontinued it and added a lot more verbiage with the 5136.
Sentence you said,
Oh, which one?
the personal communication.
The cell phone policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a look at this when I was on personnel. I didn't have a look at this, but I had a look at the old thing. And there was a lot of 1,000 verbs And and the very last sentence on this new copy here is, violations of this policy may result in disciplinary action. I just really think the may should be changed to will. And I don't know if how do we do that or do we not?
We actually discussed that as.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, part of the reason we put may was because you may have someone who, Kathy's never had a violation for 10 years and then all of a sudden she messes up, right? And so sometimes you want to see beyond that. And then, and then there might be, Kathy may mess up several times a month. And so it maybe it leaves it some options open for the circumstances. Am I correct in saying that?
Give the discretion to the principal,
Yeah.
make, the decision.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a number of people, and this whole issue, it's just, out of control, and you probably know that. And it seemed to me that, I don't know, you didn't want to mush around with, with legal, but nevertheless.
Right, but we also want to be somewhat flexible too, for service.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, it does leave some discretion open for the building principals and our superintendent. And if it does become an issue that it's not strong enough, we can go in and we can make that change anytime.
Okay.
So it's just about getting this adopted before the school year.
So just because, we buy this from a company that has policy that's consistent with state and federal law and stuff like that, doesn't mean that they have any kind of copyright on this stuff, right? I mean, we can modify.
Yes, correct. And these are, when they come in, they all have like a kind of like a box and they give us choices.
Oh,
So we go through all of them, and I believe that was one as will or may.
Okay.
Is that how you remember?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so and then on that diagram that was presented, it says, the Neola template. So if you click on the template, it shows all the
Oh,
additional
wow, okay,
options. Yeah, and so the committee then went through and picked the options that they thought
Okay.
best fit, and that's what they're bringing forward on this.
I looked at the policy in the rebase in this very subject, and it's a slightly longer, and boy, they've really got either. But whatever. I mean, this seems adequate.
Part of our thought behind it too was to be realistic with cell phone usage and personal devices. I mean, the kids or students have used them for years now, right? And so all of a sudden we're coming down and we're renewing this look at our electronics policy, but we also wanted to add in things like in the hallways, they could do somewhere on lunch. So we don't want to be so strict that it has to be off, like as long as they're at school, because they ought to be able to use them when they, have that free time. But there definitely is some strong parameters with this. And again, if it doesn't work, we can always change it.
This is a great improvement.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to say that as well, with any policy, it all depends on stuff as far as consistency throughout the year. But I find out we can say sometimes, well, this is true on this, but then the next year doesn't. However, we implement it, we need to make sure that it's adhered to straight down the line. But the policy is good, so.
Okay.
Did, I'm just curious, I'm assuming, but just want to ask this, did the ad hoc behavior committee, did they also weigh in on the policies of any kind of suggestions or anything?
We did. No, we just, we've been dealing with court conduct in our committee, so, but at one of our last meetings, then we actually, we have these out to everybody so they can read them, but then they stated which ones they felt were the most important, but then it was to be 3 or 4, and so we brought 4 of them forward. We actually have one that we brought forward to the curriculum, which we decided to table at this point because it is 5136.01, which deals with more electronic devices, but we felt it was kind of redundant. So at this time, we decided we'll put it kind of on the back burner for now and decide if that's something we want to address later.
What was it redundant?
The original.
Oh, consent attack, yeah, gotcha.
Policy 5136 covered it, we thought,
Yeah.
quite well.
Yeah, it was in the minutes too, right, that you guys felt that way, that looking at them. Besides the cell phone, policy, any other discussion on the bullying, the disorderly conduct, or the student parent rights documents, policies that were reviewed by, curriculum?
The only thing is, the one on disorderly conduct, the last line on that one is superintendent shall develop administrative guidelines for the implementation of this policy. I just want to understand the relationship between the board and the administration in developing that. Is this a kind of, this is an order to the administration because he says shall develop. But does the board then have to review that before it actually becomes official? Okay, so, okay.
Just so you know, too, that same line is on most of the policies we already have.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
And we actually, most school districts do have, or many, I should say, do have their administrative guidelines listed on their website, including the policies.
Right.
But we do not have that. We did check with Mark about that, and we didn't really cover it so much. And so even though we say shall, we have to remember kind of the loophole to me is we have an interim superintendent right now.
Sure, yeah.
But that would not have to fall on that person when we get to 1 month immediately. I would think it should come up with guidelines. I think that would be good policy. That's just my first time.
And it's a pretty succinct policy statement, this one. For a problem, it's, pretty complicated and large. So I would guess that, the real rubber hits the road with the superintendent developing an administrative guideline. So,
I do think that would be best.
okay,
That's
yeah.
And Carrie, I could put that down too as, something for Jim to,
Sure.
to show us, and then also if we want to make a recommendation that it's put on, the guidelines are put on, the website.
Right.
If that's what we feel like we want to do, I think that would too. So I'm really want to add.
Okay.
Mayor, did you say something?
No.
Yeah. Just the plan.
All right, well, we don't need to do a motion in a second, but we do need to vote to approve that we've done the first read of the policies.
Motion.
Well, we need to vote,
Oh, no, motion second.
right?
Oh,
So if there's
boy.
no other further discussion about it.
Okay.
All right, so all in favor of the first read of the 4 documents, policy, I'm gonna read them all out. Policy 5136, the personal
20 weeks.
communication devices, policy 551701, bullying, policy 5520, disorderly conduct, and policy 5780, student/parent rights. So all in favor of approving those for the first read, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, I just had a few things that I wanted to discuss here or bring up.
Hey, before we move on.
Yes.
The policies, those that we just voted on for first read, these are available for the public to read currently, correct?
Correct, I believe they're on the website.
Okay, so then the changes that we would be proposing are available for the public to view?
I believe those are, I thought I read in the minutes, that they were
I just want to make sure.
on there.
Personnel.
Right now, we're for voting members.
Curriculum.
After the first read.
What's that?
Right now, the first reads are just for the board members, because they're not completely approved, it was just the first read.
Okay,
So then second, so now they would get to be able to read them?
After the second read, when they're approved after the second and then they're published. Yes.
Okay.
That up, because I really thought in those minutes it said something about
You know what I'm thinking of?
the textbooks. That's exactly what I think that meant.
Okay. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about was, we voted last time, about the FOBs. And one of the things that came up is we did, the call for a vote, and that was done incorrectly. So I didn't want to add that to this meeting, but on our agenda next time, we will do a revote on that, issue. And then the other issue that I wanted to talk about was we had a special meeting that was with Kevin O'Mara, and that was from School Exec Connect, who is the person that did our superintendent interim search. So they also gave us a proposal about a strategic plan. And we met for, I don't know, about an hour, kind of doing a Q&A there with him. And we did that, he's in the Madison area, so we did that as a virtual meeting. And the way that Google Meets hooks up with YouTube, there were several links about that on that meeting, and that meeting did not get linked up with the YouTube channel, which is why it was not on there. We do have minutes that we did approve tonight, so those will be published. We do not have a recording of that meeting. And we can certainly answer any questions about what it was, again, a Q&A. We did not discuss it about whether or not we were going to take this person. It was merely a interview of the facilitator. And we will be having 3 other facilitators. There's actually 2 that we talked about, but our interim superintendent also offered another one. So they're also gonna put together a proposal as well. So we'll make sure, we'll try our best to make sure that we don't have any other problems with that. But we can answer any questions about that meeting if we have them. And the only other thing I wanted to ask about future meeting dates was, so 2 of the facilitators can meet on the 5th or 6th of next week after 5 p.m. So I was thinking we could make half-hour slots with each of them, if either of those dates work for the board.
Okay, was that?
They can do the 5th, which is a Tuesday, or the 6th, which would be Wednesday. I just did after, oh, I'm sorry, you're not meeting
We had
that.
the finance,
Finance
meeting. Well,
meeting.
we're gonna do like a joint personnel and finance, and then to come back with the plan, our finance meeting after that.
Okay, and what day is that?
Wednesday is starting at 5.
Wednesday at 5, okay. Wednesday at 5. Okay, so would everyone be able to, I mean, we can certainly link it. That might be a long night. We link it to that. Otherwise, we could meet Tuesday.
Yeah. Let's do this.
Anyone have a preference? Do you want,
I'd rather do a longer meeting than 2 meetings.
On Wednesday?
I'll do whatever everyone else decides.
Actually, same one as Tony.
I would agree with that as well.
okay, so, so then we would do that then after our, are you guys having a separate finance meeting too?
Yeah.
So we were gonna do personnel, then joint, then finance.
I was hoping to be done by 6:30.
Oh, okay, that would be good.
Or
Go with the,
move it earlier
you know,
too, like 4, I mean, I could.
4
start at 4
o'clock.
o'clock. I mean, if others
I
are.
don't know. You work the night shift.
Yeah, I don't care what time you do.
Personnel.
yeah.
We would have to.
Would, do you think 6:30 would work to do all 3 of those? If I asked the people to come at 6:30? Joyce, would that work, you think? Or not enough time?
I'm confused. I know that we were going to have the joint personnel / finance to talk to them about that.
Oh, okay, so that's at 5,
Right,
okay, and then after that would be finance.
right.
So we don't have a separate personnel meeting.
Not right now unless if we need one. we
Okay,
can have
okay,
one.
perfect. So then, so if we think we can do those 2 things at 6:30, I'll just have the 2 people do 6:30 and then 7. That sound okay to everybody on Wednesday?
Did you want to start at 4 or 5 and just to make sure I'm clear when we put together the agenda?
Well, I don't know, I feel like you guys already had it at 5, if that was the plan. I mean, I'm okay with that.
It's easier for those who
Yeah, let's do 5. And I'll ask them to come at 6:30. Now, one of them is from,
Are we doing those live or are we doing them Zoom?
well, we're gonna be here, so we'll
Okay,
do it
we're
live.
good.
One of the facilitators is in town here. The other one, I believe, is in Madison or in the Milwaukee area, so we'll ask her to zoom in.
Okay.
And then I'll find out about the third one, if they can maybe come that night too. They can give us a promo. Okay, all right, so Wednesday, any other meetings at all, future meeting dates?
For the next, meeting, are we planning on doing 6 o'clock again? For our, next general
Our
meeting?
general?
Yeah.
I think
I was
so.
wondering if it'd be possible to move it to 6:30, 6:30. Last couple meetings have been really tight, so if at all possible, I'm prefer if we can move it to 6:30.
I can do that. Fine.
Thanks, guys.
So 6, we'll do our general at 6:30. Okay. Any other meetings, anything with building
We
and
have buildings
grounds?
down, but you said. you have
I'm
to-
coordinating with the company that, the next week or the week after.
And looking for personnel right now. Curriculum has something in July or in July. Ad hoc is every Thursday.
For me, again, from 1 to 2:30. Plus there's
Days from now. Okay, all right. And Jim is going to be here Friday. To start off. So. All right, I think that's it,
You could set a record.
right?
Motion.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Everything is right there. There you go.